That's Bruce Lee, of course, in his iconic 1973 movie Enter the Dragon. The kung fu martial artist and teacher became an international superstar and cultural icon in the early 1970s. He starred in a series of big screen hits like Fist of Fury and The Way of the Dragon. Through his work, Lee fought to change the way Asians and Asian Americans were portrayed on the screen in the U.S. and around the world. First on CBS This Morning, his daughter Shannon Lee tells us about her new book exploring his less well-known side as a philosophical thinker.
My last name is Lee, Bruce Lee. I was born in San Francisco in 1940.
In the mid-1960s, Bruce Lee did a screen test for the television show The Green Hornet.
And you went to college in the United States?
Yes.
And what did you study?
Philosophy.
Lee, who landed the part as Kato,
If he gets the H-bomb, what are the chances of it exploding?
the gung fu fighting sidekick in the series, wanted to understand the philosophy behind the martial arts that would soon make him a global star in films like Enter the Dragon.
It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
When you were growing up, did you think of your father as a philosopher?
You know, I guess not as much as I do now, you know.
Lee's daughter Shannon shares his principles in the new book, Be Water, My Friend, The Teachings of Bruce Lee.
He really kind of planned his own life.
Yes. It seems kind of corny to say this, but, you know, he was a man of action. Like, literally, right? Like he was a martial artist and an action film star, but he fully put into action his goals, his dreams, his life. He trained not just his body, but his mind.
In 1969, Lee wrote out by hand what he called my definite chief aim, to be the highest paid Asian superstar in America, and declaring, I will achieve world fame.
It seems almost clairvoyant.
Yeah, but he really believed in putting your mind on what you want, you know, and not thinking of things as impossible.
The book's title comes from Lee's most famous philosophy.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash.
Or it can crash.
Be water, my friend.
Be water, my friend.
Shannon Lee was just 4 when her father died from severe brain swelling in 1973. But it was only after another tragedy, when her brother Brandon died at 28 of an accidental gunshot on the set of The Crow 20 years later, that Shannon was introduced to hundreds of pages of her father's writings.
I was fresh at that time off the grief of my brother's passing, and so I was in need. You know, even though I don't have these really vivid, long-form memories of him, I have a very vivid sense of what he felt like, what his energy was like, and then to match that with these words, it was really a beautiful gift.
Lee's words are still a gift to people all over the world.
Your father's been an inspiration in some of the protests in Hong Kong.
He has, and in fact, this notion of being like water is something that I know the protesters have been adopting, completely on their own, by the way.
You must be proud of that.
Yeah, for sure.
The streets of Hong Kong were swarmed with mourners when Lee died there in 1973 at age 32.
You do remember the funeral in Hong Kong?
Especially just sort of the overwhelming sense of it. It was so chaotic. I'm looking at my little 4-year-old face and I'm just so overwhelmed and shut down.
What do you think when you see that little girl?
Whew. I have ultimate compassion for her, and actually it helps me to have compassion for myself as an adult, quite frankly, because I see that the ways in which I've struggled with being shut down at times in my life stems from the loss of my father.
When you lose your dad at 4, you spend a time, in a sense, trying to find him again. It must be comforting in many ways to have these writings of his.
Oh my gosh. It's like him being able to speak to me.
You can still hear him talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I really mean it when I say he's still raising me.
And Be Water, My Friend, is on sale today. One of the things that Shannon Lee says in this book, and she said, let's get this straight. Bruce Lee was not promised or fated to become phenomenal. She said he was terribly nearsighted. One of his legs was shorter than the other. He was 5'7", rejected from the military for his eyesight. She said Bruce Lee was phenomenal because he worked relentlessly to be phenomenal, which is a really interesting point.
But that Be Water, My Friend philosophy makes a lot of sense. And I love the way that he delivered it, that he was so young when he died. Just a shot of him fighting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
He's 5'6", and Kareem is,
5'7",
you know,
yeah.
a gazillion.
7 foot whatever, yeah.
7 foot whatever. That he could interact with him that way.
Yeah.
I think that was choreographed, though. I don't think they really fought.
Well, I think Kareem actually did take lessons from Bruce Lee, because he was a trainer to movie stars out on the West Coast before he became a movie star here.
But I think Tony's right. I think that what I saw was choreographed.
Yeah, probably was.
I do think that.
I'm just kidding.
But I still liked it, Tony.
I liked it also, and I think in the fight it would have been close.
I liked it, and I like Kira Cleveland produced that. I love the effect that she did where Shannon's reading, and then it cuts to Bruce Lee, and then we see
your dad's words.
Shannon at the funeral at 4.
At 4, can you imagine?
Very well done.
Yeah.
Sad.
Beautiful piece.